Hey guys, welcome to the Field of 68 YouTube channel. If you like what you see here, hit that subscribe button and you'll get more college basketball content just like this.
Is Florida Atlantic. They're bringing back everything. Bringing back their coach. They're bringing back pretty much everybody except their sixth man. Yet the analytics simply just don't like them as much as we do at the Almanac and the AP voters. So let me ask you this, Matt: why is there a gap between what the analytics are saying and what voters are saying?
How did I know you're going to throw that one to me? Okay, how did I know that
You're the
I was
man.
going to get the
You're the
FA?
man.
Is it just proximity? I mean, what is it? Is it
Yeah.
what? Doctor told you I go down there to
You gotta
practice all
you
the
gotta
time.
have
I
the
mean,
colors on
like,
tonight, my man. You got the
okay,
Owls
all
colors
right,
on.
yeah, all right, okay, I see. Um, Look, I think the biggest challenge for FAU is just going to be handling the expectations. I think John L. Davis and Elijah Martin are two really, really good players that could play anywhere in the country. If those two guys would have jumped in the portal, they could have gone wherever they want. You could say the same thing about Vlad Golden at the 5 spot and Rosado. Those two guys both played about 20 minutes apiece up at the 5 spot. Those four players and Boyd, man, those guys, if they would have gone in the portal, anybody in the country would have taken them. I think the biggest keys for FAU this year in terms of getting back to that level. The Final Four, I mean, that is a hard thing to do.
Right.
You got to get a little bit lucky. You've got to be really, really good. You've got to be talented. So to say that they're going to be in Phoenix, I think that's a hard thing to say right now. They've got to stay healthy. You know, if you take Elijah Martin or John L. Davis off the floor, they're a completely different team. So I think that's one of the biggest keys is can they stay healthy? And they're going to get pushed. I mean, you look at their schedule. They're at Loyola Chicago to start the season. I guess it's a neutral site in Chicago, but they still got to go up there. Then they're in the ESPN Classic in Orlando with Butler, Penn State, and Texas A&M. They've got Illinois, St. Bonaventure, and Arizona in Vegas. And oh, by the way, the Field of 68 Classic, they've got the College of Charleston and Liberty. I mean, their schedule, those guys are going to get pushed before league play happens. I have gone to a couple different practices. I mean, they are humming. I know in these scrimmages, Elijah Martin has not been out there. That is a RC talks about a guy you can put the ball in their hands at the end of a game to go get a basket and make a play. They got two of them. You can do it with John L. Davis. You can do it with Elijah Martin. I'll even throw Boyd in the mix as well, who's really kind of their leader. When you see their team and you see the huddles, Nick Boyd, man, he is one of the more vocal guys on the team. So I don't think they're ranked too high. I think the expectations is going to be something that everybody's going to have to deal with within that program like they've never had before, ever. Like, I mean, ever. Even the years that they had a little bit of success, and one year when I was there, we won the regular season. We didn't go to the NCAA tournament. I know Sidney Green took them to the NCAA tournament way back in the day. But, man, that's going to be the biggest. How do they handle that? And if they do drop one or two here in their non-league schedule, how do they respond? Because really, they didn't have to go through a ton of – I mean, they lost to Ole Miss, I think, the second game of the year. And after that, what did they win? 19, 20 in a row? I mean, there was not a lot of adversity that they had to go through as a team. So I think that's the biggest question mark, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're not going 35-3 again. I don't think that's a question about how good they are as a team, right? Like, I think they deserve to be in that like top 15 conversation, right? I don't know if I would necessarily have them like number 8 in the country right now, but I think that they are very, very good and they're going to win a lot of games. But they're not winning 35 games again. And how do you manage to keep the level of play as high as you can after taking some of those losses? Like, I also think that the question that you said about the program, Matt, is really interesting because if you look at some of these other mid-majors that have made runs like this, whether it's a Wichita State, whether it's George Mason, whether it's VCU, whether it's Butler, like those are all programs that have a certain level of expectation of success, right? Like FAU doesn't have that. Like that FAU is what? Like a bottom 5 job in the Conference USA before they left. Now was it in the American, right? It's completely different from, I think, anything that we've seen for some of the other mid-majors that have made runs like this. And I'm going to be rooting for them because they're in the Field of 68 tip-off. But two, like I think FAU running it back and Purdue making a Final Four, like the two storylines that I just want to happen. Those are the feel-good college basketball stories that I think everybody can kind of get behind, no matter who your loyalties lie with, unless you're an Indiana fan, I guess. Maybe.
The biggest thing I say with these guys is if you didn't vote for these guys in your top 15, then you've lost your mind. Because if most of the time they can't repeat because they all leave or either try to go pro or take advantage of their moment. Credit to Dusty May. I mean, it's a culture thing because any one of these guys can tell me they couldn't have jumped in a portal and got a crap ton of money. I mean, Vlad Golden
could have jumped
back.
in the coaching carousel and gotten a shitload of money too. Like every single person could have left
him. That's what I'm saying. Yes, credit to him. But these guys, these players off a Final Four run, you couldn't tell me Elijah Martin, John L. Davis, or Vlad Golden couldn't go somewhere and be playing high major basketball. So to stay in that league, to stay with that coach, for them to run it back, they're going to be damn good. They won't win 35 games, but they sure as hell going to win 28 or so games. They're going to be right there, just as dangerous as they were with that guard play, the bigs inside. They're going to be a tough out in the tournament.
RC,
and they're going to get in it this year without even being having to win their league. They're in it. Like let's just chalk that up. So somebody else might benefit from winning the conference tournament and still a bid because they're going to be there.
Yeah.
How mad is John right now that we're talking about the team that's going to beat?
I don't think that gets enough credit here, RC2, is his staff, man. I mean, those guys probably had opportunities to leave. He kept every single assistant coach, every single director of basketball operations. Everybody stayed, and his assistant coaches, you go to practice, man, those guys, talk about a connected group, man. Those guys, I mean, it's just a super positive environment, and you see it from Dusty all the way down through the managers in there. I mean, you talk about a culture. That's a culture.
Thank you for watching The Field of 68. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here, hit that like button, share this link with your friends, or check out the description for some other places that you can consume Field of 68 content.